Okay, so now we're going to get into arrays. There are actually two types of arrays we're going to talk about. We're going to start with basic arrays, which are called indexed arrays, and then we're going to talk about the other kind, which is associative arrays. So first, let's get ourselves started. And I will be using our PHP guide that is linked in the syllabus as a sort of a source for examples. Okay. So the first thing I might want to do is I'm going to create an array of cars. Okay, so cars, I'm going to create a variable called cars, and it's going to be equal to array parentheses Volvo BMW and comma Jeep. What is Volv? Okay, need to put a semicolon at the end, and I need to echo cars. Here's the fun part. This is probably not going to work the way we think it is. But essentially, cars is now a variable, and I can pull things from cars. So let's take a look at what I mean by that. So I'm going to save it, echo, let's see what happens. Clear PHP arrays.php. Okay. I tried to turn it from an array to a string with the echo, and it doesn't like that, so it threw up a warning and it's not going to show it. That's because arrays are very special types of variables in that they don't really turn into something that's human readable in computer programming, kind of speak. Instead, we need to ask the specific value of the array. So, as I kind of mentioned earlier, arrays are indexed, which means that, and they start with zero. It's called zero indexing. This array, cars 0 is Volvo, cars 1 is BMW, cars 2 is Jeep. So instead of echoing cars, I should actually echo a specific item. And the way we do that is with brackets. So cars bracket. Now let me save that. Let's run that. And it prints out Jeep. Okay, great. Just as an aside, this is the same as writing this. I am missing a quote. Okay, great. Yep, this is the same thing. It's a little bit easier to read. The reason I'm gonna show you, so if I do the same thing, run it again, same value. The reason I'm doing this, of course, is that I'm showing to you because this is one way to do it. But the reality is that I really want to get used to this because the other type of array we're going to use, which will probably be a lot more powerful as the semester goes on, will be, what do you call it? It'll be structured just like this. Okay, so I have this cars 2. There we go. Now, what if I wanted to change the value of cars? What if I want to change that Jeep and I want to change it to I want to replace Jeep with Wrangler? I would do cars 2 equals Wrangler, semicolon, save it, run it, and it's now Wrangler. because you can not only get the values out of an index, but you can set the values in an index. So that's great for if we have different things moving around. For the most part, arrays as is, just as a list of things, not terribly useful for us. They become more useful as time goes on, especially when we start needing to add things to the array or popping things off the array, etc. But the really nice thing about arrays also is that I can sort them. So, for example, if I were to do this, I would say sort cars, and I'm going to get rid of this value. So it's going to alphabetically sort this from the ascending order. If I hit go, Volvo comes up. Why does Volvo come up? Because even though Volvo is 0 here, once we sort it, it rearranges the whole array, and it says, okay, now it's going to go BMW, Jeep, Volvo, because it's alphabetical. Great for names, right? There's a bunch of different sorts. The reverse is R sort for reverse sort. And that's going to put it in reverse. So this should be BMW. Yep. Okay. Cool. So that is an indexed array. The more powerful arrays are things like associative arrays. So let's kind of like rethink through some of this. I might have an array called vehicle, and that vehicle equals array, parentheses. And now this is where I structure the associative array, which means instead of being indexed, we're basically going to give a key value pair. So in this case, the vehicle, it might say brand, and they have to do this very silly drawing of arrows using equals and then close alligators. And the brand would be Jeep, comma, model, arrow, equals Wrangler, comma, year, equals arrow, and the year is going to be 2017. Okay, and then I'm going to do a semicolon at the end. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to echo vehicle bracket, like an index, but instead of doing an index with a number, we're going to do an index with a key, and we're going to look at what it gives us to pick. I'm going to pick model. Okay, and I'm going to hit yes, save. Now let's run our array, and it printed out Wrangler because Wrangler was the model. Okay, so we can do this. This is how we can get into data structures. Okay, which will actually be kind of valuable to us later. I'm going to show you the part where arrays, both associative and index, start to work together with each other. So I'm going to type vehicle 0. I'm going to rename this to vehicle 0, copy. I'm going to paste it to vehicle 1. And we're going to change this from 2017 to 1998. And we're going to do it again. We're going to paste. And we're going to make that vehicle 2. And we're going to make a Jeep, but this time it's going to be a Patriot. And it's going to be a 2012. And then we'll do it one more time. Vehicle 3. And it's going to be a 2015 Patriot. All right. Now this is not going to work right there, that echo. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type vehicles equals array, and we're going to put vehicle 0, vehicle 1, vehicle 2, and as I started typing the word vehicle, it started to give me all of the existing variables that start with that. And vehicle 3. Okay, we put a semicolon on that at the end. We save it. And what does this mean? Okay, so what it means is that I can now echo vehicles. Which one do I want to echo? Let's say we want to echo the first one. Echo vehicle 0. And then vehicle 0 has a model and a year. And so I might do bracket quote year, do a semicolon, and now vehicles 0 year is going to come out, which should be 2017. Or if I wanted to, I could say, yeah, model 17. I can also do stuff like set a new variable called selected vehicle equals vehicles, and then pick one. So in this case, it's 0. And then here, I have to do a semicolon at the end. See, it's already getting mad at me. At the end, instead of doing this, I can do save it, run it, same value. Why I'm doing that is because I can do something like this. I can say echo model dot model. I do not know a button I just pressed. Sorry about that. Okay. Echo model, and it'll say that, but I can also do something like echo model, echo year. I didn't put any space there on purpose because I think this is the way it's going to work. Dot, and you'll notice what I do a lot once we start getting into these kind of like structured things like copy and paste. And then at the end, I'm going to do a /n. Okay, save that. This should... Yep, model, Wrangler, year 2017. If I just change this vehicle now to 1012, oh, 3, yeah, 3, save it. It now changes it model Patriot year 2015. So what you should be noticing or should be thinking about is like, oh, this feels like I could do a lot with data with it. And it is. That's what associative arrays are good at. And through this semester, we're actually going to learn some tricks for how not to take this much time to do it. And we'll use some other little tricks in order to make some things happen. The other thing we can do to update an array is we can, is it called pop? Push? What do they call it here? They do it this way. So what I can, instead of doing all of this kind of stuff, the final thing I can do, I'm going to make a few adjustments. I'll define vehicles first. Okay, so now I have an array that's empty called vehicles. What I can do is I can type vehicles bracket bracket, and that will add it to the end of the array. The reason this is powerful is because when we start using things like loops in a couple weeks, we'll be able to loop through variables and put them into arrays that we can then call later. So let's see how this works. I'm really hoping it works. Yep. And if I change that to 2, there it is. Okay. So that is arrays. That is something that is going to be really useful later down the road. But for right now, it's just I want you to see it and play with it and go from there. So let's take a look at what our assignment is going to be for the week.